Right, guys, it's Bulbs, and this is week 6 of the season 4 of the Home Draft League. My opponent this week is Clockwork and the Kansas City Kingdras. Um, but before we do that, I'm just going to obviously take a quick look at the league standings, show you where we are and stuff, and yeah, then we'll run through the teams, team builder, and straight into the battle. So here's the league standings. I'm actually going to stop putting the Bulbahampton Wanderers logo just there. I feel like, especially in the middle of the battle, it gets in the way of calcs and stuff, and it's not really too important to have. So it's just going to be my face up in this one corner. Hopefully that'll make things a little bit easier to watch. Full disclosure before I go into this league table, you can see here that week 5 has only really just started. We haven't had too many battles. I'm actually going to be recording this, doing this battle before week 6 starts. I'm moving house over the next couple of weeks, and I just wanted to get this battle out of the way pretty quickly. So it's not really a true reflection of where the table is. Obviously, I'm in second. That could very easily change after this week's battles. We've got 4 opponents below me who, if they win their week 5 matchup, they could potentially jump me. The Los Angeles Lacarios will jump me because of the differential, and these guys could as well, depending on how their differential goes. So yeah, we're not second. Probably not going to be once week 5 is over. So that's important to bear in mind. But saying that, we're on a big win streak at the moment. I'm feeling really good. Obviously, I only really won the last week's battle because of hacks, but still, momentum is tangible, and I'm genuinely feeling quite confident about my chances going forward. My opponent this week is the Kansas City Kingdras, coached by Clockwork. He's won 1, lost 3. He's on a bit of a losing streak at the moment, so hopefully we can pile on the misery here. But Clockwork is a really good battler. He can pull anything out, so yeah, absolutely don't write this guy off. On that note, I'm going to jump straight away into looking at the teams for this battle. So here are both the teams. As always, I'm just going to quickly flash through mine. We've got Dracovish, Excadrill, Hippowdon, Politoed, Volplume, Heliolisk, Houndoom, Ninetales, Skarmory, Blastoise, and the Mega Ordino. My opponent is rocking with Hydreigon, Slowbro, Tangrowth, Moltres, Mega Heracross, Registeel, Gardevoir, Mamoswine, Drifblim, Electros, and Alolan Muk. Yeah, obviously Hydreigon is quite a scary threat. I do have the Mega Ordino to resist both stabs, so it doesn't concern me too much, but like a Choice Specs Flash Cannon is doing more than half to my Mega Ordino. But obviously, if my opponent choices himself into something, I can work around that with various switches. So yeah, Hydreigon doesn't concern me too much. I'll probably end up regretting saying that. Next up is sort of the main threat of his team is the Regenerator Core with Slowbro and Tangrowth. I've used a lot of Regenerator Watergrass cores in the past. I think they're really difficult to break down. My only issue with this one is the fact that they're both traditionally physically defensive. I prefer to pair Slowbro up with like an Amoonguss, or pair Tangrowth up with like a Slowking or something. I think there's better Watergrass Regenerator Core pairings than Slowbro Tangrowth. And looking at the both of them, they are both weak to Slowbro's weak to Dark, Tangrowth's weak to Fire, and they're both weak to Special Mons. So I do have a plan in mind to sort of hopefully wall break through the two of them. Moltres is an interesting one. I never really see it used too much. But obviously, with the introduction of heavy duty boots, it is actually quite a good defogger, and it's quite hard on the special side as well. Mega Heracross terrifies me. Absolutely terrifies me. I don't have a switch in for it. I don't have an answer for it. It's going to be a case of a revenge kill to get rid of that thing. Registeel, it's a good steel type. Like, you know what it does. It's a bit of a bulky steel wall, sets up hazards. But yeah, I do have a bit of an answer for it with my team. Gardevoir, pretty good fairy. Mamoswine is actually going to be a bit of a nuisance for me this week. Drifblim and Electros and Alolan Muck are there as well. Drifblim, don't see him bringing it at all, don't really see its viability. Alolan Muck is slightly scary, especially as a Mega Ordino breaker, but yeah, hopefully I can deal with that. Electros, I would not be surprised if he brings it. If he predicts the water especially, it would be quite important to bring. And yeah, enough rambling. Let's go straight into the team builder for this video. So this is the team for this week's battle. You can see it here. We are bringing Ninetales. We're bringing the third of the 3 weathers. I didn't really know if I was ever going to bring Sun, but I looked through all the teams, And I think that if I'm going to get a chance to bring the sun, this is going to be the one. Yeah, obviously go the Heat Rock Drought. That gives me 8 turns of sun, so I might as well rock the Weather Ball over something that's either less accurate like the Fire Blast or less powerful like the Flamethrower. This thing goes up to 100 base power in the sun. Yeah, this thing, it's not really here to be much of a wall breaker. It's literally just there to set up the sun. Yeah, hopefully with Weather Ball it can do a fair bit of damage. Solar Beam's obviously there for stuff like the Slowbro. Toxic in case he does go into, I was going to say a wall, but between the Weather Ball and the Solar Beam I can actually break down his Regenerator Core, but Toxic is just there in case a switch catches me off or something. Memento is literally just there because I had a 4th move free. And I'm basing a lot of my team around a Kyleng sweep, so Memento might be quite important in saying that. Going off that, I'm going to go straight into the Kyleng. Yeah, like I was saying, this Pokemon can absolutely break through his core. I went Choice Specs. We got Choice Specs, hopefully in the sun. Choice Specs Fire Blast in the sun it's wiping out the Slowbro. Like, the Dark Pulse isn't even essential. Isn't even that essential. I'm pretty sure. I haven't actually counted, but just I would imagine Choice Specs Fire Blast in the sun is gonna 2-hit KO the Slowbro. If not, we do have the Dark Pulse. We got the Shadow Ball there for coverage. Looking through his team, that was there for a specific reason. Yeah, there for the Gardevoir, and Flamethrower is just there because between these 3 moves, I kind of had a lot of his team covered. I was tempted to go for, was it a Sludge Bomb? I was tempted to go for a Sludge Bomb, but with the Shadow Ball, that beats out the Gardevoir, which is the only reason I bring the Sludge Bomb. Flamethrower is just there in case I have chipped my opponent down enough to the point where Fire Blast isn't necessary, because obviously the 100% accuracy is quite nice. This thing. Before I move on, I forgot to talk about the speed EVs for George Clooney, the Ninetales. This thing is EV'd at 325. That allows it to outspeed a timid Hydreigon. One thing I forgot to mention when I was talking about my opponent's team is this guy is slow. He doesn't have anything over base 100, which is crazy. So we can get a lot of power creeping going on because we don't need to go positive natures on a lot of these. Yeah, assuming no Scarf, I outspeed absolutely everything on his team with the Ninetales, which is really, really nice. So I know that if my opponent does outspeed me, it's choice that I can work around that by switching between my walls. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, going back to the Houndoom, this thing is EV'd a little bit less. I think if we would have gone with a positive speed nature, we could have outsped a couple more threats on his team, but I just really wanted the modest, like I'm saying, modest Choice Specs in the sun. So yeah, this thing outspeeds a timid Gardevoir and Mamoswine, which are both speed tied at 80, I believe. Yeah, so this thing, I think it outspeeds everything on his team apart from it's the Moltres and the Hydreigon. I had an opportunity to outspeed the Moltres. That's if I went Jolly over. Oh, sorry, if I went timid over modest. But yeah, Moltres doesn't really scare me too much. I can just switch out to like Peter Rabbit or Politoed or something. Like I can work around that. I'd rather go for the extra power on the extra firepower on this thing. Next up, we've got the Heliolisk. This is just because I've got the sun. Like obviously Heliolisk does really well in the sand and in the rain with its abilities, but I just really like the idea of Solar Power. Solar Power boosts its special attack by 1.5. Choice Specs boosts by another 1.5, and we're modest over timid. This thing is an absolute wall breaker, and it can actually do quite a deal of damage to my opponent's team if I just bring up the list here. So the Electric alone obviously beats out the Slowbro, beats out the Moltres, does heavy damage to stuff like the Heracross and the Registeel, which are neutral, and the Drifblim as well, or I don't see him bringing the Drifblim. Hyper Voice is obviously just there to hit the things that Thunderbolt doesn't, and I still get stab. I was tempted to go for the Surf for the Mamoswine, but obviously in the sun, Surf's going to be doing less damage. Grass Knot is more than good enough to deal with the Mamoswine. Yeah, this thing is EV'd. It's got a bit more speed than Kyleng. This thing is EV'd to outspeed the timid Moltres, so the only thing that Heliolisk doesn't outspeed is the Hydreigon, which resists its Stab Thunderbolt anyway, so that's not too much of a hindrance for me. Volt Switch is obviously just there for a bit of switch initiative. It's something that I haven't really had in my team. It wasn't there in my draft particularly, and I haven't really brought it too much to any one battle so far, is some kind of switch initiative move. I've obviously mainly been playing stalls, so switch initiative it hasn't been too important for me. It's been more a case of switching between my walls. This team's looking a little bit more offensive. So yeah, voltage is just really important on that. I think it's such a shame that Houndoom doesn't get parting shot. It absolutely should. Anyway, next up is Peter Rabbit. This thing's obviously a special wall. Like I alluded to earlier, it just beats the Hydreigon really, really well. Also beats out the Moltres and the Gardevoir. Just any kind of special Pokemon is sort of not going to be doing too much to this thing. Dazzling Gleam's obviously there for the Hydreigon and also for just general useful stab. Heal Bell because we don't have the Volplume this week, which I might live to regret. I just something I was tempted to go for was a chlorophyll Volplume because this is one of the only weeks I'm going to be bringing the sun. But just look at all of the grass resistance that he's got there. Poison as well. Where's poison? Poison he doesn't deal with as well, but it's still like 3 resistance. It's 1 immunity. Yeah, this wasn't the week for a chlorophyll Volplume. It would have been quite nice to deal with like the Tangrowth, I guess, but yeah, it wasn't really too important. So because Volplume isn't here with aromatherapy, Heal Bell's got to be there. Wish, Protect, I'll bring those moves every single week till the day I die. Yeah, pretty self-explanatory really with Peter Rabbit. Next up we've got Knives Out. It's obviously either one or the other between Knives Out and Hippowdon. Knives Out is here because it kind of deals with the Mega Heracross. It also deals with the Mamoswine really well. Yeah, I probably would have considered bringing Hippowdon otherwise. But yeah, my opponent doesn't really have too much of physical threats other than Mega Heracross, which terrifies me, and Mamoswine, but nothing else. And maybe the Alolan obviously, we can resist the. We're immune to the poison stab with the Alolan Muck, so between Mega Ordino and Skarmory, we can deal with that thing quite well. And yeah, Skarmory obviously resists or is immune to Mamoswine's ground and is neutral to Mamoswine's ice. So it pairs really nicely with Ordino in this matchup. Obviously got Stealth Rock and Defog there. This thing's just to get rid of hazards. Set of hazards. Got Dual Peck for, again, like in previous weeks. We've got Stab without taking recall damage like Brave Bird. Deals with the Mega Heracross, obviously, very reliable recovery. Leftover Sturdy, fully defensive. This thing, we've got the 187 speed that allows us to outspeed an uninvested Mega Heracross. If he decides to go for a fully bulky variant, we can still take it out with the Drill Peck. Hopefully, he won't expect that. And yeah, obviously the rest of it is fully defensive. Bit of attack investment. Yeah, that's fine. Next up, we've got Luke Tuck Politoed. This is again the classic Bulbs case of I had my team set with 5 Pokemon. I didn't really need 6th. Excadrill was kind of tempting, but if we're just looking at his team here, like that's why you don't bring Excadrill. I mean, with Mold Break, he can kind of break through that. At least a Levitate with Hydreigon, but Moltres, Drifblim, it kind of beats Electros, but Electros doesn't scare me too much in this matchup, and I think my opponent's going to predict the Mold Breaker Excadrill coming, so he might not even bring the Electros anyway. Yeah, I just didn't really need it on my team. Politoed is mainly here. Obviously, you can see Whirlpool Perish Song. This thing is to be just a bit of a fallback, just in case I do need it to take out a mon in a really cheeky way. Rest Chesto Berry, just to sort of go along with that. We've got the counter there because Mega Heracross, if it's adamant, 2-hit KOs Skarmory, which means I've got no switching for it. So it might be a case of revenge killing the Mega Heracross with the counter Politoed set. Hopefully my opponent doesn't see that coming. Going off that, we're going fully physically defensive just so we can stand toe-to-toe with the Mega Heracross. So that is the team. I think my opponent is still awake. He's told me that he might be asleep, but I'm going to ping him anyway. So I'll either do the battle now or I'll do it another day and I'll be wearing something different, but either way, it won't affect your viewing the video. So yeah, I will. I'll see you for the panel. Okay, so Bulb's messed up. I could record an entire live com for this, but I had the wrong window selected on OBS, so you can't see any of the battle. It's really annoying because it was actually a good battle. Anyway, we're going to be doing a post-com for this battle. So first up, I see my opponent's team here, and I don't see obviously the Slowbro or the Tangrowth, so I'm feeling quite good about the matchup, although it kind of puts a lot less emphasis on the Houndoom on the Sun that I did bring. Obviously, seeing Mega Heracross is absolutely terrifying. Hydreigon, I know that I can deal with the Mega Ordino really well. Alola Muck I didn't want to see because it does break through the Mega Ordino, but Skarmory can deal with that quite well. Obviously, being immune to the Poison Stab. Who else? We've got the Drifblim, which I said multiple times in the team build he wasn't going to bring. So that kind of concerned me just because I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I kind of figured that I'd be able to beat it out with the Mega Ordino. Obviously, we're immune to the Ghost Stab, especially defensive, so that'll be quite fine. Yeah, Moltres wasn't too scary because I know I've got the Heliolisk, which outspeeds it if it's not Scarfed. And yeah, Gardevoir doesn't particularly concern me too much. So I was looking at this team lineup and I was feeling relatively confident about it. Anyway, into the battle, I decided to lead off with Skarmory. I just wanted to get my rocks up straight away. Obviously, you've got two flying types there. They're probably heavy duty boots. I'd expect the Moltres to, especially to be the heavy duty boots, but getting your rocks up is always quite nice. So I led off with my Skarmory. He leads off with the Moltres, and at this point, I'm just like, right, get out of there. If he's probably going to go for the fire type move, a lot of people don't run, obviously, Houndoom in this kind of league. So he might forget that Houndoom's flash fire. He might think that he can get a relatively safe fire blast off. So I go straight away into the Houndoom to try and soak that up. He does go for the U-turn, which does a lot more damage than I expected it to. I actually checked the calcs. Like that is damage for like a timid or a modest minus attack natured Moltres. It just did more than I expected it to. Bit of a misplay on my part because obviously Houndoom was a little bit of a win con. Less so, like I say, without the generator core of Slowbro Tangrowth, but it still is kind of important to me. So it's a bit of a misplay to let him take that much damage on the first turn, although I can wish to get that damage back up so it's not too bad. He switches out into the Hydreigon, obviously resists both my stabs. I've got nothing for it, so I go out into the Ordino, not Mega Jet, but I know that with my special defense investment I can eat up anything the Hydreigon wants to go for. He goes for the Earth Power, makes sense. And on this, I know that I can get off a safe Mega Evolution plus the Wish, knowing that he was going to switch, or even if he ran the Flash Cannon, we can live it, did about 35% or something to me. So we can live the Flash Cannon, Wish up, Wish Protect, scout out what my opponent's got to do. So he brings out the Muck, and obviously I'm going to switch out. I was predicting the Poison Jab, so I do go into the Skarmory. I know that if he goes for the knockoff, I'm not going to take too much damage anyway. So that kind of makes sense. I get my rocks expecting him to switch. He goes for the Curse. I'm going to slow this down a little bit. He goes for the Curse, which was quite concerning for me. I figured if he went for another Curse, I can bring out the counter on the Politoed. He actually goes for the Fire Punch. Crit doesn't matter on that, obviously. But yeah, it's a good job that I switched because that Fire Punch at +1 was doing about 50% to Skarmory. So yeah, I was kind of hoping that he'd go for the knockoff or the poison jab, and it would do significant damage to the point where a counter can KO. He does go for the poison jab. It does do a lot of damage, but unfortunately the counter doesn't KO. However, it puts him to a range where this Muck, which terrified me when it started setting up the curses, absolutely just no longer scares me. Because now I can revenge it with something else. At this point, I was tempted to go for like a resto chesto kind of thing, but I figured, this thing's in front of me. We can chip away at it. We can get it down to low health. Let's just go for the Whirlpool, which I do. I go for the Whirlpool. He goes for a Fire Punch, predicting the Skarmory. Absolutely makes sense because the Skarmory was a consideration of mine. I was thinking if he goes for another Poison Jab, obviously Skarmory makes sense, but Politoed, it was kind of there to obviously counter the Heracross, but it can only counter the Heracross at full health. And also the only way that it beats out the Heracross is if my opponent doesn't expect the counter. I've revealed the counter to this Politoed. It's kind of worthless to me now. It's done a good job in this battle, taking out the Muck. So I was kind of happy to let this thing die. It was a bit of a misplay on my part though, because I was kind of clicking the moves quite quickly. What I should have done here is rested up. Chesto wakes me up. The Whirlpool damage takes out the Muck, and I could have had a full health Politoed on the field. However, what I did is I just wanted to get the KO. So I hit the Whirlpool. I can't seem to get the right speed on this. Slow's too slow, normal's too fast. But anyway, he goes for the Shadow Sneak, gets the Poison Touch. I get the Whirlpool off, kill the Muck. Poison Touch takes me out. I'm very happy with that exchange. The Muck scared me. It broke through Mega Ordino, which a lot of the other Pokemon on his team can't deal with. And Politoed for me wasn't doing much work in this battle, so I was absolutely happy with that trade-off. Anyway, I bring out my Peter Rabbit, he brings out the Gardevoir. I know that I can just wish up here and just scout out what my opponent wants to do. He goes for the Mystical Fire, gets a special attack drop, obviously, which is a little bit annoying. But yeah, I think I just go for the Dazzling Gleam here just to get some kind of damage off. Even at -1, you know, chip damage is fine. Switch out into the Heliolisk here, expecting some kind of like... I mean, I was about to say expecting a Ghost type move. Obviously, I had the Mega Ordinal on the field. I think I just knew that this Drifblim wasn't going to be doing too much to me. I've spent the last few weeks doing a lot of like very heavy stall. I wanted this battle to be a bit more offensive. So I thought like a bold switch into an offensive Mon. He's got no ground types, he's got no electric immunity, he's got 2 flying types on the field. Yeah, I knew that Heliolisk was going to be a safe switch. He goes for the Strength Sap. It makes sense why he'd have the Strength Sap. Obviously, I've got a very physically based team. In a very physically based draft, I should say, with the Excadrill and the Dracovish especially. So Strength Sap absolutely makes sense on his part. Unfortunately for my opponent, I didn't bring any of those, and I'm fully special this week. But you can understand why my opponent put the Strength Sap on the Drifblim. Anyway, this worked out perfectly for me because I can get off my Choice Specs modest Volt Switch here. Gardevoir traces the solar power, it doesn't really matter. Volt Switch does really heavy damage. Obviously, it's a safe Volt Switch. Go back out into the Mega Ordinal, and I think I just go for the Dazzling Gleam here just to get the KO. Yeah, you got the Paralysis on the Thunderbolt. It's kind of annoying, but obviously it doesn't impact things too much. Yeah, he goes out into the Heracross, and what do I do here? I was tempted to protect a Scout, but I knew that if my opponent went for the Swords Dance, I'm done for. Skarmory can, at the very least, I think Close Combat was a 2-hit KO, but if he goes for the Close Combat, he's then at like -2 defenses, so I can go into a faster Mon and get the revenge kill. Either that, or he goes for the Swords Dance. If he goes for the Swords Dance, Skarmory's a safe switch because it's got Sturdy and it can KO with Drill Peck. Obviously, we outspeed any uninvested Heracross variant, so Skarmory was a safe switch here. And he actually sets up the sub, which was kind of concerning for me. Yeah, he gets up the sub. I go for the Drill Peck here to break the sub as he goes for a Swords Dance. And I was thinking, well, that's absolutely fine. Like Close Combat will take me down to my Sash, and I just revenge kill with the Drill Peck. What I'd forgot was it's the fact that this thing has Skill Link. It's got Rock Blast, so that would break through the Sturdy. Fortunately, it doesn't do enough damage to get me down to the Sturdy, and the Drill Peck KO's there. At this point, I'm pretty certain that I've won, because Heracross was the only thing that broke through Mega Ordinal. He's got 3 specially based Pokemon there. Mega Ordinal resists the stabs of Hydreigon. It's immune to one of the stabs of Drifblim, and Moltres doesn't really scare me. So at this point, I know that I can at the very least chip down my opponent with the Mega Ordinal. Skarmory's used up all of its uses here. It was there obviously as a physical wall to help out with the Heracross and the Alolan Muck. They're both gone. So at this point, I just want to get chip damage off on the Hydreigon. Obviously, I knew that he was probably going to run some kind of a setup as well, so I didn't want to switch out and let my opponent get set up for free. He goes for a Flamethrower, takes out the Skarmory. I'm absolutely fine with that. And at this point, obviously, I realised that the Hydreigon is Life Orb. What I want to do here is, because I'm running Modest on both Heliolisk and Houndoom, what I wanted to do was bring in Ninetales and get the Weather Ball KO. However, Weather Ball does about 35% to a Hydreigon or something like that, if it's not bulk invested. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to sack one more thing off, just to get this thing down to 30% through the Life Orb, and then Ninetales can come in, not only set up the Sun, but also get the KO with the Weather Ball. So at this point, I kind of, even though I've just said that Mega Ordinal wins this game with its bulk alone, I do want to go for a more offensive victory this time. Looking at my 3 offensive Mons here, they can take on the 3 Mons there, especially the Heliolisk. So yeah, I do go into the Mega Ordinal to sack it off. I almost wanted to get like a full paralysis or something, and for this Hydreigon to take me out, because that way I can get in the Ninetales, go for the Weather Ball KO, set up the Sun as well as beat this thing. But yeah, it goes for the Earth Power. It would be a 2-hit KO potentially, because I think that was a low roll on the Earth Power. Either way, we don't get the paralysis. Dazzling Gleam comes out, and now the Drifblim's here. And I know Drifblim isn't going to be doing too much scary to me. Ninetales, all it needs to do, it doesn't even need to come in and get the KO anymore. It just needs to come in, get the Drought. I remember at this point, I literally said in my live comment, I'd mapped out the next few moves straight away. I was like, right, Ninetales comes in, lives whatever Drifblim wants to do, goes for the Memento, bring in the Heliolisk, and then we can just go for the Choice Specs Thunderbolt win. So yeah, that's essentially what I did. Bring in the Ninetales. I think. Oh, actually, this was a really funny bit. I'm actually gonna go back to the last turn here because this was actually a really funny bit, and I don't want to. I don't want to breeze over this. So yeah, take out the Hydreigon. Drifloon comes in. At this point, I'm obviously setting up my son. I'm switching out into the Ninetales to set up my son. Can you guess what Drifloon goes for? This is the viability of three weathers or multiple weathers in a draft. This personifies, or this represents the entire viability of my strategy, because my opponent told me afterwards that he went for the sunny day expecting me to bring a sand team. It explains why he had the strength sap on the Drifblim to take out both of my sand rush Pokemon. He's got the sunny day on there as well. Like, he'd completely prepped for me to bring sand. And so he brings Sunny Day to erase the sand. He actually ends up, well, he did, obviously doesn't benefit me in this case because I had the sun anyway, but he could have accidentally ended up helping me out by setting up the sun without me even needing a drought Pokemon. That's the viability of my draft right there. This turn here, him going for a Sunny Day as I switch in a drought Pokemon, this, yeah, I feel completely vindicated with my draft right now based on this turn here. It is so key to the Bulbahampton climate change. I mean, sorry, Bulbahampton Wanderers. Yeah, so I absolutely loved that turn. And then, yeah, I go for the Memento, knowing that just gives me a safe switch into the Heliolisk. He goes for the Shadow Ball anyway, so we could have got a safe switch into the Heliolisk regardless. And then, yeah, we outspeed both these Pokemon unless they're Scarfed. And, yeah, this thing wasn't even heavy duty boots. And at this point, I was thinking maybe the Moltres is Scarfed. And I did a few counts, and I think, like, with a Fire Blast, he had a chance to KO, but then at that point, if he locks himself into the Fire Blast, Houndoom comes in with the Flash Fire and can win. So at this point, I do know that I've won. It's not relevant anyway because I went for the Thunderbolt. He didn't have the Scarf, and we won the match. I'm now going to cut to the actual live com because I did talk a little bit at the end of the game, and yeah, I'll just show you the thoughts of Bulbs from when we played the battle. He could also be a choice Scarf Moltres, which, if he locks himself into a fire type move, we've got Flash Fire. No, he's not. Brilliant! I've maintained the record against Clockwork. That is 100% win record over the last 5 years, 5 or 6 years. Bulbahampton Wanderers against Kansas City Kingdras. That is beautiful to maintain. And I didn't have any misplays particularly. I just had a couple moments where my head wasn't quite in the game. So the fact that I'm not battling at 100% efficiency and I'm still pulling out the wins, that's really nice. This win will put me top of the league up until the other competitors do play. But we'll be top of the league temporarily, which is really, really nice. Yeah, I think I played that game quite well. I think I misplayed a little bit with Politoed when I should have gone for the rest instead of quickly hitting the Whirlpool without thinking. But yeah, other than that, I think I pretty much had his team down from the matchup. But at the moment, I saw the 6v6. Obviously, none of his team could take out the Mega Ordino apart from the Heracross. So the moment Heracross went, I was set for the win. Clockwork saying here he was worried about the sand that he brought sun, the sunny day against my sun team. Yeah, I mean, that just goes to show how really important it is to have three weathers on the one team. Everyone thought that it was me. I kind of made it a bit me. But yeah, it genuinely has its uses, right? Because how do you prepare for something with three weathers? Only Maui's found out so far. The other 5 battlers that I've played, none of them could figure it out. Bulbs are feeling really good. Yeah, momentum is tangible, and we are riding that momentum.